You brought a number of books for us, good reads for adults, and the theme seems to be reflections on life and aging and love and family. Tell us a little bit about why you chose that theme.
I was picking books, and actually what I do, I think, is I'm picking books, and then as I gather lots and lots of them, I start to see how they hang together. I'm kind of a grouper that way, not the fish, but the saver. I like, you know, ever since I was a kid, I like to collect things, and so temporarily, you know, some books that reflect on those things. Yeah.
And actually, they seem to be popular. I've been looking at reviews in magazines, and they seem to be among the popular books. So this first one, I think, is an absolute hoot. Nora Ephron, I Feel Bad About My Neck. Tell us about this one.
Well, this is Ms. Ephron's reflections on getting older, and in particular about the way her neck looks. But that's only just a very, very clever title. This is one of those books where it's a very delicate matter of this ever being a gift book for anyone. This is one of those books that somebody better ask for. Because I'm not sure.
Insulted.
I think not. She says that our faces are lies and our necks are the truth, and that sums it up. But my favorite part in there is her history of lettuce, which is in her chapter on serial monogamy, which is very, very funny. Just how we've been enamored of all these different cult lettuces over the years, how our salads have changed with our sex lives.
Well, in keeping with the funny, she says, you know, if you are worried about your saggy, baggy neck in the mirror, she advises that we squint.
Yeah, it's good. It's good advice.
So, and of course, many people may know Nora Ephron because she's done quite a bit of script writing.
Yeah.
You've Got Mail is hers.
When Harry Met Sally, and Sleepless in Seattle, and yeah.
So you can kind of get a feel for the quality of the writing that would be in that book.
Humor, yeah.
Now, this next one about Alice, Calvin Trillin's book, which is really sort of a memoir of his wife, who died of lung cancer in 2001, I believe. Tell us about this one.
She died on September 11th, 2001, which the family finds strangely ironic, too, I guess, that they had this personal tragedy in the face of America's tragedy. Alice was his muse, as the New York Times obituary said. She was very droll and his first reader, and he just loved her, and everyone loved her. She was just one of those popular people around New York that you feel like you read about in the 20s or the 40s, in the Tin Pan Alley days or the literary roundtable at the Algonquin days. She was like that, and she was diagnosed with lung cancer in 1976 and was treated, and the treatment from the 70s actually caused her heart to fail in 2001. So it was really, the lung cancer got her in a backhanded way. She was so funny. One of the things that she said when Trillin came home with a cold from an Italian food festival one day and said, "What do I do to deserve this? I couldn't taste anything." And she said, "I don't know, could it be gluttony that was you being punished for that?" So anyway, it's very funny.
In fact, people have said it's a must-read for everyone who is in love, all who were in love, and those who want to be.
It's a very sweet story. This man loved his wife, and she loved him, and it's a good model relationship for everyone.
All right. Here's the next one, Prime Green, Remembering the 60s by Robert Stone, who was there to see it all.
Allegedly. You know, the old jokes, right? Yeah. And he knew the main characters. He's one of 4 different people who wrote about the amazing Neal Cassady, for example, among them Tom Wolfe and Jack Kerouac under different names. He knew Kerouac when he was becoming disgruntled and jealous of how his old friend was being reused, but he also knew Ken Kesey, and I've always been fascinated by Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters bus trips over to the World's Fair in 1964, and this is an inside look. He wasn't on the bus, he doesn't claim to be, but he was there to greet the bus when it got there, and he was an early user of some of the interesting recreational drugs of that period, and he has a fascinating perspective of that time. I think people who are interested in that time, who've read Tom Wolfe's Electric Acid Kool-Aid Test, will find this an interesting addition to that.
Well, the 60s, many say, has been so rehashed, and we've read so much about it. What makes this one stand out and worth the read? I
guess the thing that I loved about it was that I think that without over-glorifying it, he manages to capture somewhat some of the hopefulness and the things that actually were changing at that time, that people thought they were changing and that actually were changed. I mean, there's been a big backlash against this in many, many ways, from the way we raise children to the way we eat to the way we organize our college curricula. But I think there were some things that happened there that were good. I mean, that we thought we could make a difference. The civil rights movement certainly grew from that time. So I think that he, without making too big a deal of it, really does capture some of that optimism that still, I hope, runs through today's culture.
Okay, and here's the last one that you brought for today. Fun Home. This is an interesting read, really a graphic novel, a comic book for a mature audience.
Very mature,
and
yeah.
this was written by a Pennsylvanian, Allison Bechtel. Tell us about her first and then the book.
Well, Allison is a fairly famous lesbian. She does a comic strip called Dykes to Watch Out For, and she's very popular in alternative newspapers. And this is her autobiographical novel of history of her life, and oh, what a dark life it is. But as with many, many dark lives, there's light showing through in the form of humor, and you can see how she was formed. It's a wonderful book. It just sucks you in. You feel like you're almost crawling through the panels with her. The architecture plays a part in this book. When I'm in the world of children's books a lot of the time, and we always say that a picture book is more than the sum of its parts, of the text and the pictures, and that's what the graphic novel is too for adults. And sometimes the pictures and the words even work against each other, or one is telling the truth and the other is painting a lie, and vice versa. It is a phenomenal book. And for those people who are interested in books about the area, there are even some cultural references to State College in Centre County. By the way, her father, she found out much later, just when she came out as a lesbian, that her father was gay. And one night after seeing Coal Miner's Daughter, they attempted to go to the My Oh My bar.
Which, of course, was a fixture in State College.
It was, yeah. One side gay and one side stripper bar. And they were declined, allegedly, by a bouncer who carded her. Now, I remember the My as being very notoriously bad at that back then, but you never know. It could have been the bouncer's first day. But she grew up in a funeral home environment, and there are just so many oddities in it. But it's wonderful, it's stirring, and it's very, very sad.
And as you said, she found out as a young adult when she came out herself that her father was homosexual.
Yeah, and it was after his, as she and her mother think, his suicide. He died being hit by a Sunbeam bread truck. I mean, just the reality of that is so strange. But there's some thoughts in the family that he stepped in front of it.
Well, an interesting collection of good reading for the winter months.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
A copy of the program you've just seen can be purchased through Penn State Media Sales at mediasales.psu.edu or by calling 800-770-2111.